It's John G. Sutton. Tales from the Jails. Yeah, I've been specifically requested to tell some stories of the former #1 Governor of Strangeways prison, Mr. Norman Brown. As you've probably gathered by now, I don't usually mention other officers or specific inmates by name unless they're infamous or passed on to the next dimension. But Norman Brown has put his name about, been on TV many times, and he's extremely well known as probably one of the most famous governors of the British prison system for the last 100 years. Quite an accolade, really. Norman Brown himself, I believe, was a very decent, a very honourable man. He was a war hero. He'd served, I believe it was in the Korean War, where he was a tank commander. He'd been injured in duty. He was caught, his tank caught fire, and that's how he got burnt, badly burnt. If you look at his face carefully on the movies out there of him on the BBC and all that, you'll see that he is quite badly burnt. But a very brave man, a very decent man, very honourable man, and as mad as a gnat, as crazy as a box of frogs. How do I know? You see, I was that jailer. Yeah, I must have driven him insane. I don't know how. Seriously. I mean, one day he was in his office. It would be probably about January, I think. I know it was really cold. And I was working, I think it was 1980. Yeah, I believe it was 1980, January 1980. And I was the officer in charge of the records department. So everybody who comes into Strangeways prison has a prison record. It's A4, something just slightly a little bit bigger than that. And keep all their details in there, the crime sheets, the charge and all the rest of it, their photographs. They have a photograph taken when they come into the prison. So I was working in the records office, which if you look at the front gates of Strangeways, the old front gates, yeah, the Victorian ones with the twin tower at the front there. You go through the big oak and metal gate, straight ahead, that's F wing, yeah. Norman Brown's office was directly on the right as you went through the door, directly on the right, and you went forward about 5 yards. There was a door on the left that led down into a basement area that was used as the prison records office, and I ran that for a period of about 18 months actually. Should only have been a posting for a year because it was considered a cushy number. Well, it would have been if they didn't do it right. I did it right, and it was no cushy number, believe me. You had no computers. Everything was handwritten. Everything. They came in, you wrote the name in the book. The date they came in, their number, you put that all down in a book, master book there, and it told you who was in the prison at any time. Obviously, if they get discharged in the morning, then in the evening you correct the book during the day. Anyway, I was working in the records office. It would be about 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon, and storming into the records office came Norman Brown. Face all black, all muck all over his face. "You maniac, you've burnt my office down, you've burnt my office down." I said, "Excuse me, sir, I've been working in the records office all afternoon, as my colleagues here will tell you. I think there were 2 or 3 staff that worked there as well." And they said, "He's never left there." What had happened, Norman Brown had been in the club at lunchtime, knocking back booze. I don't know, he drank beer, I think Poddington's or something. He'd be knocking back the booze. Come into the office, and it was bloody freezing. So he got a gas heater, one of these little colour gas heaters. He'd lit that and drawn the curtains. Unfortunately for Norman Brown, he drew the curtains and they were hanging over the colour gas heater. And he sat in his chair, went straight to sleep. He woke up soon enough when the curtains caught fire and the whole office was going up in flames. And he come running out of the office, straight down into the records office, and started blaming me. Well, of course it wasn't me. Anyway, they got that put out. Another little strange tale about Norman. Let's call him Norman affectionately, yeah? He never used to call me anything other than Sutton. And Sutton, it's Sutton who's responsible for this. You know, I was usually responsible if things went wrong. So I got blamed for the fire, which I didn't do. I wouldn't do. I'm not a maniac. Not in that way, anyway. One afternoon, Norman Brown was in his office and he saw somebody hurling what we call a shit parcel. Yeah, that's some newspaper. The occupant of the cell, the inmate, has defecated into the newspaper, folded it up, and thrown it out of the window, the cell window, onto the. So anybody with any sense would have just left it there for the next day, when the yard patrol went round and shifted them all, which they did every day. But not Norman. Obviously, he'd been necking a few, decided he was going to sort this out. So he went out, picked up the shit parcel with his bare hands, shit parcel, into the prison, ordered the landing officer. I was on the landing at the time, but he didn't order me, it was somebody else. Ordered the landing officer to open a specific cell. He said, open that cell. And when they opened the cell, Norman Brown, the #1 Governor of Strangeways Prison, hurled this shit parcel in, and it hit this inmate. And I was watching by this time, and it hit this inmate on the shoulder. Splat all over him. Yeah? Oh, shit flying everywhere. Norman Brown's got his hands covered in human excrement. He says, I'll teach you, you dirty bastard. Well, it so happened that he picked the wrong cell. It wasn't that particular inmate that had done it. Strange character. Imagine that. Yeah. Seriously. I was another strange story of Norman Brown. I was studying law at Manchester University, right? I failed the exams, by the way. I mean, you try working 60 hours with a daughter that's going backwards and forwards to hospital for operations because she had problems, and a mother-in-law that's dying, yeah, with a heart failure, and a grandfather that you're nursing because he's in the last few years of his life and he needed care and attention. Yeah, imagine doing that and at the same time trying to study for a degree in law. So anyway, I failed the exams, which is hardly to be expected. So I don't know, anyway. But the teachers, the professors there, we got on quite well. They helped me quite a lot, you know, to draft up the constitution to form a trade union, and which I did. I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, the two main professors came with me one evening to Strangeways, to the bar. I said, I'll show them the prison bar, because they couldn't really believe, you know, that prison officers were going into the bar during working hours at lunchtime and getting tanked up, then going back into prison. Seriously. So they said, but I'll show them, you know. So I said, well, one evening, come in with me and I'll show you the bar. I can't do it in the day because I'm working, you know. So anyway, we after the college course, I think it would be about 9:30, we went in to the bar at Strangeways, which if you look at the front door, the two pillars at the front door, the old iron gates, yeah, the old oak and iron gates, yeah. On the left of that, there's a door. It was painted blue at the time. You go up about half a dozen steps through that door, down the stairs into the bar, which was at the basement, yeah, in the basement, inside the walls, yeah, right inside the walls. And I was stood at the bar with these two, so that there were solicitors, practicing solicitors, but also professors of law at the university. So I quite happily chatting away with them, and we're having a beer together, you know. In came Norman Brown and two chief officers. They were at some kind of get together they were having in the function room, and these two chief officers and Norman Brown came up to me and said, Mr. Sutton, get out. So, oh, what's the matter? I said, I've just brought my friends in for a beer. No, we don't allow the press in here. Get out. said these gentlemen are not members of the press. These are professors from Manchester University teaching law and arts. Get out. We know what you're doing. Now get. Seriously, they flung me out. These big chief officers, you know, they were going to manhandle me and these two professors, throw us out. So we had to go. Seriously, that was Norman Brown. He never thought very kindly about me, you know. But all the time I wasn't there to wind him up. I was trying to make a living and turn the place into somewhere that was reasonably acceptable, not only for the staff, but for the inmates. Anyway, Tales from the Jails. Please subscribe. It helps, so I'm told. Thank you very much.